Hello, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. If you can, please rise and join us for the pledge. I'd like to start the roll call with Scarlett, please.
Scarlett Cantley.
Frank Palin.
Mary Viator.
Michael Johnson.
Elizabeth Accomando.
Patricia Farrell.
Jay Foy.
Burgess Hanson.
Rob Robinson.
Kenny Lawrence.
Do we have anybody on Zoom?
Yes, we just have Matt Barnes, who's part of the presentation, 7-1 for the request to initiate the activation process for Rawlings Estates. So
Very
he-
good.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Backman's here as well.
Yes, thank you. Okay, Michael, welcoming remarks?
I'm good, thank you.
Oh, wait, that's me. I'm sorry. I'm going out of order again. I'm sorry. So welcome, everybody. I'm going to ask everybody, if you haven't already, to silence your cell phones. If you wish to speak on any specific agenda item or during our general public comment, please fill out a card. You can find them on the table over by the door. If it's a specific item, you'll want to do that before we begin discussing it. And please be sure to put that agenda item on the card. We have a pretty light crowd tonight, so I think we can do 3 minutes for public comment tonight, if that works for everybody. Michael, Patty?
Yeah, that's
Good
fine.
with that?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll do 3 minutes tonight, so everybody has enough time to speak. Please understand that when you come up to speak, it's kind of not a back and forth. If there's something that we can address with each other or staff afterward, we will, but it's really hard to have a conversation during a meeting. It delays us doing business. But your comments are very important to us because you're the voice of the community, and we definitely want to hear you. Oops, silence that cell phone. Hey, I did it last time, so I don't feel bad. So yeah, just be respectful of each other, and whether we have differences of opinion, we always try to really respect that for each other. We're going to have that from time to time. So again, thank you for being here. We do appreciate your joining us and being part of our decision making. It's important. Now, Michael, turn it over to
Oh,
you.
I'm sorry, through the
Oh,
chair.
I'm sorry.
Can we just, Mr. Giordano and Miss Argue have excused absences?
Oh, okay, I
Yeah,
should
just wanna
announce that.
put that
Okay.
on the record as
Okay,
well.
thank you very much. Michael, welcome.
I'm good, thank you, welcome.
Welcome, everybody, thank you.
Welcome.
All right, well, let's get right to business. Do we have any additions, deletions, or substitutions to the agenda?
I make
I
a
don't.
motion to approve the agenda as presented and amended.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
See that it passes, 3-0. Do we have District Chief Romero? I don't see her yet, so,
They're in the parking lot. I can,
Oh,
oh, fire chief, sorry.
yeah.
okay. Do you want to start with PBSO then? Are they
Yeah.
ready to go?
Yeah, you can get it.
Gentlemen?
Thanks.
Okay.
My apologies, I was just addressing something. I'm Lieutenant Sowers with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, and I'm just gonna briefly go over the report for February. So we had a total of 2,046 residential and business checks, which were self-initiated by the deputies. We had 724 traffic stops, and we also had 340 citations, 403 verbal warnings, or I'm sorry, 403 written warnings and 178 verbal warnings. It has been brought to our attention that there have been increased traffic complaints, which we are addressing, and we've had several initiatives that have been underway. We've had 3 sexual assaults, and those were by known individuals to the victims. 2 burglaries to vehicles, which were, again, as in the past, unlocked items that were left in plain view. We've had 6 thefts, and some of those are just opportunities. Porch pirates taking Amazon packages, mail from the mailboxes, and also had 2 stolen vehicles. One was an ATV and one was a work truck, which was actually recovered. And we've had 9 acts of vandalism, and out of those vandalisms, we did have 3 arrests. Crashes are still somewhat high. We've had 13 motor vehicle crashes, and 2 of them had injuries, and 1 vehicle homicide. Any questions? No?
Through the chair. Just very quickly, what's the top complaint with, you said that you've been getting a lot of traffic complaints? Speeding.
It is speed. And we've had several initiatives that have already been, that have already taken place, and we do also have some in the future. So we are addressing the specific areas that have been, that the complaints are coming from, as well as others, that where the traffic crashes are occurring. We're focusing on those roadways where we're having a lot of issues.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Still no fire rescue?
Nope, no.
Okay, all right, so we'll just, I guess, move on to our regular agenda. So this is going to be to consider the landowner petition to initiate the unit activation process for the Rolling Estates property, which is 104 acres. And with that, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Mr. Hanson.
Yep. Thank you. So we were recently approached by the engineer and attorney representing the potential buyer of the Rawlings estate, which is approximately 104 acres, somewhere in that neighborhood. It's just west of 180th, south of Sycamore, and just slightly north of West Allen Black. They are here. Mr. Backman is in the audience. They do have a presentation. Mr. Barnes is on
Excellent.
Zoom. He could not be here physically, but he will be able to answer any questions. But they're asking to initiate the activation process, and I believe that Ms. Viator can give you a little bit more information about that
Okay,
on the
thank you.
process.
Do you need that, do you want that now?
Sure, thank you
Okay,
very much.
Okay, certainly, as we've done with other units of development similar to Santa Rosa Groves, which we're all familiar with, and the president particularly, that what would be done is there's a request to form a unit of development for areas that are looking for Indian Trail to provide services, that we're authorized to do. Our areas are roads, drainage, and recreation. So tonight, they're going to give you an overview of that presentation. They're going to request that we initiate the activation process. What we will do, if you authorize that, we will, the staff and the professionals will then go ahead and provide a basic agreement to us to address the fees and costs that are to be incurred by the district to do this. And then we'll be able to look at it and then come back at the next board meeting or the next meeting if once we've got our information available and make that presentation to you and to see if the board's agreeable to providing and initiating a unit of development.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yep, and
Ms.
just through the chair, properties, just put it on the screens. It would be
Thank you.
these 2 properties. This is the north section, and this would be the south section. And to the west is the M2 impoundment, just so you get a
Thank
general
you.
feeling as well as the audience.
Thank you very much.
And I don't know if there's anything Mr. Floyd needs to add.
No, we're just trying to get started.
Okay, so I guess we can go right to the presentation then. That would be
Absolutely.
wonderful. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. Been speaking with Burgess and Jay and your legal staff for a short period of time now, myself and then Matt Barnes, who is on the Zoom. Our presentation is not terribly substantial, and I think Burgess just pulled up and showed you the aerial. Just to give you a general idea of obviously where the property is, it's 104 acres. Recently, I think within the last 6 months or so is how long we've been having the discussion as it relates to a proposed development on the property, and we've really been trying to understand what makes sense, what fits, understanding the area. I've worked on a number of developments throughout Palm Beach County, and it really is a matter of trying to understand as best as you can. You're not always going to get it 100% right, but what really can be accommodated there. And so in those discussions, and if you don't mind, there's just one other slide, and it's our concept plan that we've been playing with here. It should be the second slide there. There you go. Just click on that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Can you go ahead and just put it on slideshow so that it shows, so it comes in? Nah,
Down on the bottom right, there's a little projector. Right there. You click on that and it'll pop up.
Yep, thank you.
Perfect. So this maybe gives you a better feel for what we're really trying to accomplish here. It's 104 acres. There's wetlands. There are preserve area requirements. There are drainage requirements. The plan that you're looking at here shows 58 lots. So we're really close. I think we're almost 1 unit per 2 acre. What we tried to design in accordance with was the community immediately to the east of 180th and have lots similarly sized. In all likelihood, they'll be slightly larger because there's obviously an opportunity to do that. And then as you can see, and in particular on the southern parcel that my client is working on, there are 7 very large, almost estate-style lots with a loop road. And again, all 3 of the connection points to 180th would line up with roadways that already exist within the district, right? Not mid-block type of entrances. And then the balance of that property adjacent to the impoundment facility is primarily wetlands and preserve area, which is also a Palm Beach County requirement. And then obviously there's a drainage component to that. And then the northern parcel, which is really where the majority of the 1 acre lots are, has an almost 10 acre lake right in the middle of it. All drainage is going to be entirely contained within the property. I believe we're already activated for drainage. I think we're seeking activation for roadways here. And we understand from conversations we've had with Burgess and Jay that there may be need for additional improvements on 180th. I think there have been some. That'll all be part of the process, right? This is very premature. We're coming to you before we're even presenting anything to Palm Beach County. We have had meetings with them, obviously. Our first public hearing in front of Palm Beach County is currently slated for mid-April, and it's very similar in the sense of what we're doing there to what we're doing here. They have an initiation process, you have an activation process. In order to even move through their process, we need to present to their planning commission and to the county commission to allow us to move the process forward. I believe we were briefly talking prior to the meeting, very similar to what we went through with Heritage Farms a year and a half or 2 years ago. All the protections that are necessary will be built in here as part of not only the approval process through the county, the ordinances and resolutions that are passed, but also documents that will be recorded against the property to ensure that the protections are in place and there's not the potential risk of some other developer coming in and deciding they're going to put townhomes here or something like that, right? And so that was kind of the mindset that we all envisioned when we as a development team started to think about, okay, well, we need to come in and talk to Indian Trails and talk to the county and understanding, again, the area within the county that we're proposing to develop. So that's really all that I had. In talking to Burgess, this wasn't necessary, but I thought at the same time it was for us to really share with you and let you know what we're trying to accomplish and trying to do it the right way from the beginning. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I really appreciate that because our communities have been through this before, and people are a little gun shy.
Sure.
And so having that reassurance that this is going to remain what we're seeing now and not turn into, like you said, townhomes or some high-density development, I think that's absolutely critical. So I appreciate that. What am I looking at in the center in the upper picture, so I.
It's a lake.
It's a lake.
Just,
So
I think
that's
it's
gonna
about
be your,
9.5
that's basically gonna
acres.
be your drainage in the
Correct.
center,
Yeah.
which will be nice for the residents too. And what about, on the west side where, you're kind of bordering Delwood? What's going to be the separation between there?
Sure, so it might be hard to see, but there's actually a gap there that is owned by the district. Maybe, I don't know if it's drainage or future right-of-way, but there, between that and then the back of those lots, which then front on Delwood, so there's a full connection that the district has control over.
Okay. And will there be berms or anything around the property?
So that's part of the county process we're working on. We've been working and talking to the county about kind of an exterior buffer, and then landscaping and things like that that would go in it. So we're still working, again, because of the way the initiation works, and then what we would have to do is what's called a text amendment.
Mhm.
That text would outline the development parameters that we are then subject to for this development, and buffering may or may not be a requirement simply because they're already fairly large lots. And it's just gonna be someone's backyard abutting up against the district property and then someone else's
somebody
potential
else's
backyard.
yard, right, okay. All right, very good. And so the traffic is gonna come out all on Prado, there's only gonna be one entrance?
So I don't believe, so it's across from Prado. There is only the one entrance. It's 51 lots, I believe, on the northern parcel. The access is out onto 180th.
Right.
And we're still, because it's so preliminary, we've done some initial traffic analysis, but the expectation is that the traffic's gonna kinda not everything's gonna go straight across Prado, that they may
Right.
go south and
But-
they go north on 180th.
To clarify my question, that's gonna be your only entrance into the community?
Correct,
So-
into the northern parcel, and then the southern parcel has that loop road.
Right, okay. So you're not gonna be looking, and do you anticipate the county requiring any additional connections?
We do not.
Okay, so for what your density is gonna be, your studies are showing that that should be it?
Correct. That is,
Okay.
that is absolutely our anticipation. This is not a high-density development, and again, we'll continue to stay in touch. We've got to go through a process with you as we get word back from the county as to certain items. We'll
Right.
continue to
And-
keep you, and I believe that the district is part
We
of the
are,
DRO
yes.
process now, right? And
Yes.
so you'll see all of that as it's working its way through.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you. And I heard about the development down at Heritage Farms and the protections that were put in place for the residents so that it would not become a high-density development. And I very much appreciate that you're doing that here for our residents. It really means a lot because, you know, we've got this coming in all around us, and people are tired of the traffic, they're tired of the developers walking all over them. So it's kind of refreshing that I knew in advance how, you know, your company, you know, operates and functions, and I appreciate what you do for the rural communities.
Thank
So
you.
thank you very
Yeah,
much.
Again, it's right development in the right place. I won't tell you I haven't been on the other side of getting yelled at and, you know, being in meetings because a client's proposing something in a place where maybe it doesn't belong. But I'm glad that the team collectively, along with our client, was able to bring something in from the beginning that made sense instead of having to push and fight to get there, so.
Well, we appreciate that, and please tell your client that we appreciate
Sure.
that, and we appreciate having great neighbors, so
Great.
thank you.
Thank you.
Patty, do you have any questions?
I do not. You answered, you
Michael?
asked a lot of good ones.
No, I mean, just Jay and staff, I mean, as far as drainage and, you know, road connections, I mean, this kind of fits our MO as far as acre lots out here. Is there really any foreseen issues for any?
Drainage is easy, so I'll address that first. They are already part of the M2 basin
Mhm.
and drainage. All they will need is most likely, and we're gonna work out all the details, is a special permit for connection to the drainage. They already are paying assessments for drainage. Roadways, we're going to have to figure out how that gets tied into the water control plan. Is there a connection fee? What type of assessment there'll be? We don't know the answers to any of these questions yet.
Preliminary.
What they're asking appropriately is that you give us the opportunity to take a good look at it rather than just having these overall conversations. So we don't know our answers yet, but that's the type of thing we're gonna be looking at.
And if I may, just to clarify again, anything internal, the district will not be responsible for the road or any of the
Right.
internal drainage with the, lake or anything else, so.
And this will be an HOA community, right?
That's the intention.
Yeah, okay. All right, anything else? All
So
right,
do we make a motion on that?
absolutely.
All
Thank
right.
you.
I
Look
make
forward
a-
to seeing you again soon.
Thank you very much.
I make a motion to direct staff to initiate the unit activation process and authorization to prepare a standard landowners agreement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Yeah, I-
Oh,
Oh,
so,
yeah.
right, sorry, I'm sorry. So terrible. Do we have any public comment on this matter? I'm so
Good
sorry.
thing you're here.
I know. It even says highlighted. Scarlett's like, hey, public comment, and I'm still missing it. No public comment? Nope. Okay, then I guess we're good to vote.
All those in favor? No?
Aye?
Aye. Sorry, I'm calling it for you.
That's okay. We're okay like that. It's all good. Okay, very good. Item 7.2, fiscal year '23 international dump truck back order issue. The recommendation by staff is to terminate the international purchase order for cause and authorize a substitute purchase order for the Peterbilt dump truck. And I will ask Mr. Hanson to elaborate.
Yes, just quickly to the board, and I'll let Mr. Robinson go into a little more detail. About 18 months ago, we had ordered an international dump truck. We had budgeted for it, and we executed the purchase order. Unfortunately, they still are not giving us a deadline or
Delivery date.
estimated time of delivery. It could be in '25 for all we know. So tonight we're asking for cancellation of that purchase order and for an increase in approximately $56,893 to purchase a Peterbilt. They're already built, and we can take possession of one almost immediately.
Excellent.
So, but
excellent.
I'll let Mr. Robinson go
We're
into
just
a little
saving
more
what we're
detail.
paying for rental. I think that, Makes
Well, we're
sense.
paying actually not so much for rental, but for hauling.
right,
which
right,
is
that's,
very
that's,
expensive.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. Through the chair, Mr. Hanson put it quite eloquently, so any questions?
Nope.
Yeah,
Not a one?
They were just behind the 8 ball with coming out of COVID and everything, supply chain issues. They kept, initially, when we put the order in, they told us 18 months. Now, it was supposed to be delivered here beginning of the year. We just got notified possibly December 24, and they couldn't even guarantee that. So with the need for hauling and dump trucks, we looked through Florida Sheriff's Association, came up with the next best alternative, which was the Peterbilt. Once it's ordered, once we get a PO for that, they'll start the build. They already have several already coming down the production line, so we just get a PO, they put our name on one, and we'll get it far sooner than whenever.
Excellent, excellent, okay.
Madam President, may I just
yes.
want to add to what Rob said, that the international vehicle was purchased under the Florida Sheriff's Association Cooperative Purchasing Program. The Peterbilt will also be under Florida Sheriff's Association. The termination of an agreement under Florida Sheriff's Association is not automatic. We have to give 10 days notice, written notice, during which period they have an opportunity to deliver the truck,
Which we know they can't do.
which we know they can't do.
Okay.
And so we should give notice that the district intends to terminate for cause. There's different categories for, without cause, they have to give 30 days notice. But for cause, in this case, because the failure to deliver is within their control. Plus, as I understand it, the company has previously set a delivery date like in March of this year.
Correct.
And that gives an opportunity. So essentially, they're asking us to accept a renegotiation of the terms of the original version.
At which time we can just say, no, thank you.
Yes, I mean, it's quite clear that
Simply.
this delay is on them, but we still have to, under the terms of the FSA contract, give them
Go through
10
the
days written notice.
procedure, sure.
So the replacement purchase order for the new truck should wait for 10 days just to be consistent with the terms of the agreement. Unless they acknowledge that they're not gonna be able to deliver, in which case we could proceed to go
Okay.
ahead and execute a new
Okay.
purchase
Well,
order. We
either
don't have two purchase
10
orders.
days is better than 10+ months, so,
We just don't wanna have two purchase orders.
sure,
That's
of
what-
course,
And
absolutely.
through the chair, we might have emails to that effect, but once this does get terminated, we can backlog and see if those emails that we do have from them state that they cannot deliver it anytime soon.
If
But
that's
we
the
can wait
case,
to 10 days, it's not an issue.
fine.
Okay, you guys have any questions?
I do. So I just want to verify, so what is the monthly cost on hauling that we're doing? I just want to put that out there. Like, is that,
I don't have that information in front of me, but I can provide it to you.
okay,
It's a lot,
yeah, well, I'm looking at the, you know, the.
over 35,000.
I was gonna say,
the
is it, so I'm
disbursements.
looking here in January, so it's over 36,000. So can I assume is it somewhere near that or south of that?
If you do have that information,
Yeah.
some of that does include purchase of material as well as hauling per load.
Okay. So, but
It's substantial.
we'll say tens of thousands of
Yes.
dollars? Okay. So just putting 56,000, we'll be putting ourselves in a better position financially.
Correct,
So-
yes.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah, it's a lot for the hauling.
Okay.
Every week, we
Yeah.
spend a lot of money on hauling, so, I mean, and that granted, that's more than one truck,
Yeah,
so we're not gonna see that instant, we'll say $35,000, we'll put that number out there. You're not gonna see that instantly, because we're buying one truck as opposed to the haulers maybe using 2 or 3
yeah, I
trucks a
saw a
day.
lineup of them
but,
this morning,
yeah.
like 4 or 5 of them, so.
But again, you know, over the course of 10 months, a year, whatever, we're obviously
Mhm.
saving money in
make
the
that,
long
yeah.
run by doing this,
Okay.
I believe, as, you know, I see the invoices.
Okay.
Michael? Good, okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to terminate the international purchase order and authorize a purchase order for a Peterbilt truck, subject to final legal review.
Second.
Public comment.
Hey, we're looking like we know what we're doing.
Right. Is there any public comment? Anybody have any questions or nothing online? Carrie shaking his head, no, good. All right, call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 passes. So Rob's gonna take care of that, we're all set. Okay, item 7.3, to consider the extension of the Acreage Athletic League Service Provider Agreement and joint July workshop. Mr. Hanson, if you'd like to,
Yes, thank you. So as you know, we had originally wanted to have some workshops with the AAL, or the Acreage Athletic League, in January through March or April. Unfortunately, because of the various county issues, we just have not been able to do it. And over the next 2 months, we're still dealing with some of the county issues, but we're also beginning our budget process. So what we're requesting is that we look at July for the workshop, and then come up with a extension that does not interfere with their fall league, which, you know, they begin registration, I think, this week or next week. So that's basically it.
okay. All right, so, when do we think we're comfortable with doing this extension before we have the workshop? And when do they need it?
Through the chair. Through the chair.
Thank
So I believe they're signing up for their fall football, tackle football.
Correct.
And I'm sure baseball for fall. So I think that season usually goes through November, correct?
It does.
Yeah, so I feel fair to say they should be done before Thanksgiving. I would say like mid-November would be a fair date to extend it to.
Okay.
With that being that we're gonna be having that workshop come in July.
Michael?
So should we say November 15th? Is that fair?
That works for me, Michael?
That's fine.
Okay. Okay.
2024. Okay.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to extend AAL SPA until November 15th, 2024, and hold a joint July workshop on July 15th, 2024.
Second.
Okay,
Comment?
Yeah, I got a question first, but thank you. Thanks for my back. Did we confirm with the board and the executive board that this was a good date, July 15th? Is everybody good with that?
With our board, yes.
Okay,
We have quorum, and the ones that can't make it, Tina could probably send it.
okay,
And I've not heard back for sure about the date from the
okay.
AA.
Well, it's plenty of time.
Yeah.
So I do think that they should be able to make it work. We're giving them more than enough notice to make it work. Right. What day is July 15th? What day of the week?
Tuesday?
Monday.
Monday? Monday or Tuesday?
I don't want to do it on an evening
It's
where they're going to
a,
have
Monday.
games.
it's a Monday, yeah, Monday the 15th.
Would their schedule be, or is
It's
the
not games,
executive
there's
board-
no
it's
games in
not-
July. They're
okay,
just doing
okay.
practice
I
at
don't
that
know, I
point.
don't-
Yeah, they're just
okay.
doing practice. Games don't usually start until August.
Okay,
So are we okay with the Monday?
it's fine with me.
Is there a problem with a Monday?
No?
Oh, no, I don't have a problem.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with a Monday.
Michael, you have a problem with Mondays?
Every Monday.
Every Monday. It's called adulting, it's not
It's
fun.
right, exactly.
And-
Nobody said it was going to be.
Through the president, the
Yes.
AEL did send an email that they'd like to be put in record. They
Yeah.
did not ask us to read it. so
Okay, all right.
I believe you all
Um,
received
I was
it.
gonna notate that when
Yeah,
we called for
okay.
public comment.
Okay, perfect. All right, and do we have public comment on this item? Nothing? No, okay, let's call the vote.
So the only public comment I had was the card, so.
Well, Are
we're
we
just
going to do that?
We're
That's
not
for
reading
this
it, so
item?
we're just gonna,
Right.
yeah, it's for this item,
So-
7.3.
Do I have to,
If there's no other public comments and they don't want the
It's not saying it to
then
be
you can
read,
go
Jay
ahead
just
and call
wanted-
the question.
okay, thank you, okay. Okay, so let's call the vote.
All those
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passes 3-0. Okay, item 7.4, discussion and board direction on the continuation of support of the district-wide mobility plan. Mr. Hanson.
Yes. So as all of you are aware, 2 weeks ago, from a staff level, we had sent an email to both the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council and also to the Palm Beach County Transportation Planning Agency, a letter just reiterating that, as far as we know, the board is still very supportive of the mobility plan and implementing that mobility plan, including the speed tables and other traffic, not enforcement, but, yeah, traffic calming, along with other measures to control speed and cut through traffic.
And as we just heard from PBSO, it's quite an issue. And looking at the numbers down 130th, it seems to be quite an issue there as well. Okay.
So we're just asking for, if the board would like us to draft a letter for review at the next meeting to send.
To send to-
And I would just also remind the board that we have included the R3 in the mobility plan in the R3. So that has already been incorporated, and that was also part of the overall plan that we issued the debt for.
And if I'm not mistaken, a portion of, a good portion of the mobility plan, when it was done prior to us sitting here, was actually paid for by Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, correct?
Well, so
The
Treasure
grant?
Coast Regional Planning Council was actually entered into an interlocal agreement with the district to actually to do this study. However, the Palm Beach County TPA
TPA.
paid for half of it.
Okay, very good. I don't think a lot of residents are aware that that occurred, so I just wanted to get that out there. Okay, well, I'm certainly all for showing that we support that. I think it's important to the residents. We see a lot of people here on a weekly basis. We hear from PBSO how people are flying down the streets. You know, as we make improvements to the road, as you know, more houses are being built surrounding us, more traffic is coming through, more commercials going in. We need to put this in place for the protection of our residents. And the traffic calming not only slows them down, but it makes it a little bit less convenient for the cars to come down our roads, right? So, you know, people that are used to driving in urban areas aren't used to having to deal with too many speed bumps, and they don't want to. They have low cars, they're not driving what a good portion of us are driving out here, right? So I think that is very important to the community for its public safety. All right, so do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to send a letter to reiterate board support of the district-wide mobility plan and its implementation of the plan to multiple agencies and governing bodies.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have a public comment on this item? Seeing none, nobody online. Okay, let's call the vote. Excuse me. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, aye, and it passes 3-0. Item 7.5, consider approving emergency repair to the pier and the replacement of the fountain at Coconut Park. And I'm just gonna say this is really important. I've seen some posts on social media that people are actually still going on the pier, and it's very dangerous, and I'm certainly concerned about that. So I'm gonna let Mr. Hanson go into some more detail about that. This is an important issue.
Yes. So if you recall, during the FY '24 fiscal year 24 budget workshops and various meetings and hearings, we had discussed the different issues that we were having at parks, including Coconut Park with the pier and fountain. Unfortunately, due to the other capital projects and other priorities, the board asked for us to see if we could make this last into fiscal year '25. Unfortunately, after looking at it and doing a risk assessment, we had to shut down the pier portion, and of course, the fountain is not functioning properly. So tonight, we're bringing forward two or three alternatives. The first one would be dealing with the pier, because we agree it's the most important one. So there are two options there, and I'll let Mr. Lawrence or Mr. Robinson, either one of them, talk a little bit more about it. But basically, the first option would be that our in-house staff do the work. We're estimating that it'd be about $18,000 for the materials, and just to keep when we do in-house, we try to tell you how much the labor cost is, even though it's already built into the annual budget for positions. We believe it'd be somewhere around $12,000 with approximately 15 business days, you know, depending on weather and whether or not the material is available. And that would be using approximately 3 to 4 staff, but not all at once. So, you know. And then the second option would be using a contract, which would approximately be $40,000, which is slightly more, and we believe that range could be 30 to 45 days, just because we have to go out to bid, do the advertisement, then have legal review of the contract, and then we'd also have to bring it back because it's over 40,000 or over 35,000 to this board, so that may delay it a little bit more. And then the third option would be the fountain replacement. That's something where maybe you want to wait till next fiscal year to do that, and that cost is $22,000, which sounds like a lot, but this is not like your typical fountain that you go to Home Depot to purchase. This is going to require running cable underneath water and doing some other things, because right now where the fountain is located isn't even really in the center of the pond like it should be. So we're not getting the fullest aeration of the pond's ecosystem.
And we're not gonna be doing the fountain ourselves, we're
No,
gonna
that
hire
would have to
somebody.
be, yeah,
right?
no, that,
Right.
something like that, we would not.
Right.
It's gonna
I mean,
require
I
a lot
feel,
more expertise
yeah,
than we
yeah.
have.
And I feel like even with the pier build, I mean, $10,000, to have somebody hold that liability, it doesn't seem like a lot of money. But my concern is the delay,
Yep.
because we've got people on there. So, I mean, I don't know, I've never built a pier in a water. I mean, it seems,
Well, that's,
is that in our scope to do that? And,
I'll let those two answer that, but yes, it is.
okay,
It's
Direct.
in
all
my-
right, very good.
It's in my past life, basically. Before
Excellent.
going in the government, I used to be a general contractor, and this is very similar to building decks. This pier itself, and I have a couple shots I'm gonna flip through, including a little video clip that shows why we shut this down. It was shut down last summer when we found this from an inspection. Basically, all the decking and everything is rotted and coming through. There's a lot of soft spots in here. There's nails popping up. The deck itself, what we're planning is replacing everything except for the pilings at this point. Once the demo is complete, we'll be able to tell if the pilings themselves are moving. If they're not, then they'll probably be strong enough to keep. The little video I'm about to get to is one of the biggest reasons why we're having to
Oh,
address
yeah,
this.
that's not good.
This is basically where it sits, and this is why we shut it down
Yeah.
last summer.
Yeah, and, you know, I'll ask the community, whoever's out there listening, everybody sitting here in the audience, please don't go on there. We don't want to see anybody get hurt. Tell your kids to please stay off the pier until we get this resolved. Okay.
no questions through the chair?
Yeah.
So, if the pilings are okay, or if they're not okay, what are we expecting that cost to be?
That's a tough one to call. It depends on if we go with wood or we go with cement. Like, so we're gonna have to really kind of estimate that one out when it comes, I'm not sure.
Would that come to the board for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. The material, what are we using to replace this? Are we doing?
What's currently quoted, and I actually did estimate the linear footage out there, so the quote's actually pretty accurate. One's just for pressure treated.
Mhm.
If you guys wanted to upgrade to composite, you're looking at triple the cost.
Triple, yeah, okay.
But
the-
you'll get 30 years compared to 10 is what they
Right.
say, basically.
The
Right.
the composite gets very hot.
It does
and
get
it's
hot.
very
I have some
stinky.
of it at my
It does
Yeah.
get
the
hot.
condo.
Yeah.
The other, so the fountain right now currently works, it's just not in a good spot, is that?
It doesn't work.
It
So
doesn't work.
The 5 horsepower pump that's out there right now, which actually runs the irrigation for the whole park, is fried. It's done, and so
Hmm.
is the pump,
Okay,
or the fountain.
So we don't have any irrigation there either.
No,
So-
because it runs everything.
so how important would it be to get that up and running for the water to be safe? Because I know people fish in there and whatnot, like, is
I
it
would-
okay to, like, have that water stagnant?
I personally would move on it. We have enough to reallocate between the irrigation pump that we were trying to upgrade over here, that can wait, everything's working there. I would put the funds in there.
So we would have the funds to be able to do both,
Yes.
both items. Okay, and my other question, do we have anything that says like a do not trespass on there? And is there something maybe
Yeah.
the sheriff's department could put on there?
We do have, I mean, I could add a no trespass sign. We do have this currently on there.
Is there a trespass that we could get? Because, you know, sometimes you see where the sheriff's department puts like a trespass
Mhm.
sign. Is there something like that? Maybe we could add to that to let them know it's
Yes.
illegal?
Sure, yeah, we do have those signs available throughout the district that we have on other items that blanket us for that. We could put one of those on there additionally.
Okay.
Nothing? Good? All right.
Okay, so we have to make the motion as to whether or not we're gonna do option one and the fountain, is that the deal?
Yes,
Okay. Is it ready for us to call?
I think so, yeah.
So,
Do we have a motion?
I'll just make it
Okay.
tonight. So motion authorizing emergency repair of the pier and replacement of the fountain by option one. And then we'd also like to include the fountain replacement.
And just to clarify, option one is doing it in-house.
Yes, correct. And just for the record, we will be transferring money from within the same department administratively. It will not require it to be transferred from
And that
another
pump is still
department or
working enough
fund
that we
balance.
don't have to worry. And where is the other pump?
The pump that we were talking about upgrading is the one at Acreage Community Park North. We just recently replaced that pump about a year ago, but we're looking to upgrade it to one with a bladder system, kind of similar to what's that south expansion. That way it's really producing what it needs to on north side.
Okay, but for now,
It is fine for now.
and it's not affecting the fields or anything like that? Beautiful, okay. Michael, second? Okay. All right, we have a motion. Public comment? No public comment? Nobody online? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes 3-0. Now we're up to other governmental updates, and I guess I should just bring this up quick now, before I turn the meeting over to Jay. As most people are probably aware by now, that the vote passed and Wellington annexed from Southern Boulevard up Seminole Pratt to Harlena, both the east and west side. This is something that the residents requested. They wanted it. They were being serviced by Wellington, and it passed with all the landowners approving it. So I guess we welcome our neighbors, Wellington, that are now on our side of the road. So welcome. And let's always just remember that whoever moves in there, it's not their fault. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jay.
This will be a real quick and easy update. Well, quick. As you know, I mentioned earlier, we're part of the DRO process, and I continue to get the notifications every time a new submittal or we continue to get the notifications every time a new submittal is in, until they have satisfied all the comments. Most of the DROs obviously are not within Indian Trail Water Control District. Boy, that dates me. Indian Trail Improvement District. That's what it was when I first became your engineer. The only update I have for you is on the West End project. That's at Seminole Pratt Whitney Road and North Lake. That's on the southeast corner of that intersection. There are two things we can enter into the DRO process. One is an issue, which they can't go forward if we have an issue until it's solved, and the other is a comment. The issues we had on this project were they don't have a legal positive outfall, and they don't have, their drainage statement did not reflect that they had to meet our requirements. They have now answered both of those issues. In my opinion, they haven't answered them in a way that they can actually fulfill, and I'll tell you why, but they have answered the issues. The first issue was drainage. How are they going to solve that? They say they're going to do it by underground storage tanks, extremely expensive, or off-site properties. They'd have to purchase another property to do it. The legal positive outfall, they said they will either have Palm Beach County modify their permit that we've issued that would allow them to discharge into the Palm Beach County lake before it gets to our system. And recall that that lake will be turned over to us upon completion of the project, North Lake Boulevard. However, it is not a legal positive outfall, in my opinion, until that one of those two things happen. They don't have a permit modification, and it hasn't been given to us. The lake hasn't been given to us. So they have gotten to, with Indian Trail, to the comment stage. They have acknowledged our issues, and they say they're going to solve them. I've had conversations with Palm Beach County. They agree that this is going to be a big issue, and they have other issues, traffic, for example. So it has a lot of hurdles before it finally gets approved, but I want to notify you that they have gotten to the comments status with Indian Trail, because they have they haven't met them yet. They have said they will meet the requirements of Indian Trail. Everything else, there has been no substantial change in any of the other DROs.
Okay. Yeah, I can't imagine the traffic with it, especially with it only going to 4 lanes right there, what the traffic that will cause at that intersection. Okay. All right, anybody have any questions? No, Patty? Good? Okay. All right, well,
Just-
I'm sorry.
I just have one update
Oh,
on
sure.
other governmental.
I'm sorry.
So Both the House and Senate did pass a legislative appropriation that we requested for
Oh.
$500,000 for the
Yeah.
M0 canal outfall.
Did it get
And-
signed yet by
well,
the
don't-
governor?
Yeah,
Oh.
but.
Don't share it yet.
But, yeah, however.
got here last
it's-
year.
Yeah, it's going through the governor's office right now, and both of you met with the governor's office when we
Yes.
were in Tallahassee, so that looks to be going in a positive direction,
Excellent.
but I'm not gonna jinx it.
Right,
That's all
of
I'm
course.
going to say.
I did feel like they heard us,
Yeah.
and they understood the issue and the importance of it, and how this is not just, for Indian Trail, but this also is, an assistance for FWC and the Corbett. So, and it's important that we work together on these issues, and I appreciate the help that the state is gonna provide for us to do that. And it doesn't
And-
have to always be at the expense of our residents.
Yeah, and we did provide more information to the governor's office showing that we do have other grant sources, so
Yep.
this is just not
And
solely on
the
the
permits
state.
are ready to go,
Yeah,
and we're
and
ready
the
to put the
permits.
shovels in the ground,
Yeah.
which I think was a really important key factor in moving it forward. So thank you for all your hard work, you guys, on that, because you guys were instrumental in making it the presentation and being there and speaking. So we all very much appreciate that.
Thank you. That's all for me.
That's it. Okay. Well, it looks like should we continue? I mean, we got plenty of time. We're going to write to public comment?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to open up the meeting to the public for any issues that were non-agenda items. If you haven't already, get your card in so we can have you come up to the podium. Everybody's going to have 3 minutes since we don't have a large crowd. And please direct your information to us, and we will do our best to address your concerns after. Thank you.
The first card we have is from John Hask.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Thank you for letting me talk to you tonight.
Of course.
The reason I want to talk to you, I've been living here for almost 30 years. I have a fence on my property. It's been there for 28 years, was put in by a fence company, properly permitted through Palm Beach County. Affidavit signed that it was put in properly, not encroaching on any easements. And now I'm being told that I have to move it. It does not affect the drainage in any way, shape, or form. It's the far east end of the fence they're telling me to move. The west end of the fence is fine. It's probably 200 feet long. And I really don't believe that it's actually improperly done. I have a survey documenting where the fence is, where the FPL pole is, and where my property line is. If the fence is in the wrong place, it's approximately 5 inches into the easement, not 5 feet as Indian Trail is now claiming. When I put this fence in back in 1996, Indian Trail was well aware of it, because I had to get permission to do away with the site distance triangle, since you all closed 170th and 67th. And I was even able to get a copy of the minutes, which were supplied to Palm Beach County also, to get rid of that site distance triangle. Indian Trails had no issue with the fence at that time. They have not had any issues with it the last 28 years. Now they're telling me that myself and the neighbor next door need to move our fence, yet there are other properties on the block that their fences are within the so-called 30-foot easement area, and they have not been told to move. And I'm kind of why I had to move part of my fence at my expense of over $2,200, and the other residents aren't even asked to move theirs. What I'm asking is that you grandfather the fence in. In February, there was a meeting at my property with Indian Trail people and AT&T. Mr. Floyd was also there. The pole, Indian Trails claims, was put in the wrong place by FPL. pole was put in April 1990, and obviously they pulled permits for that. There was no issue with it then. They asked FPL to move the pole. I've been told FPL flat refused. FPL's since put their power underground, which is what's caused all the drainage problems to begin with, because we had no problems until they did that. And now AT&T is taking over the pole since they have lines, and my understanding is AT&T is thinking about moving it. I did speak to Mr. Foy and asked him about the fence, the drainage issues. Is there a problem? And he advised me that the fence does not pose any problem to drainage. He has no problems with the placement of it. Mr. Bill Stevens and I, we looked down the roadway, down the side, and where the water flows, you can see all the culverts all lining up. The fence is nowhere near any of that. And what I'm asking is that you either grandfather the fence or there's a special permit, whatever you need to do, to allow the fence to remain it is. And again, it causes no problem to easement. It causes the problem to the drains was FP&L. When they put their underground box in, they put it high, and the water stops where FP&L's box is. And that's
Okay,
pretty
thank
much
you.
what I need to address from you. Again, and I said there are other places on the street that have fences within this 30-foot of the center of the road, like 16796, 67th Court, 16609, 67th Court, but none of them have been asked to move. According to Jason Lester, myself and the next door neighbor, the only two that have been asked to do anything with fences or any type of shrubbery or bushes.
Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming out. And Mr. Foy, did you want to look into this a little bit further and maybe speak to Mr. Lester? Was he at the meeting?
Yes, what we would request is that you authorize us to go get a survey to ascertain the exact location of the fence. The way the fence was located in the field, and I've sent you emails that I actually didn't make a statement about the drainage not being interrupted, but the determination was based on a iron rod that was found on the property across the street, measured 60 feet off of that. There was no iron rod found at Mr. Hesk's property. So what we really need to make a firm determination that the fence is or is not in the easement is a survey. And as we are claiming different than what Mr. Haskell is claiming, we believe that we should be the ones that go get the survey. So that's what I would recommend, that we get a survey so we have the facts to speak from.
I'd like to get legal just to see what their thoughts are. Are we good with that?
Well, I have no problem with Mr. Foy's recommendation. I'm not been brought up to speed on this particular issue, but I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Madam President, in the package that I sent to all of you, I believe you all have a copy of it. There is a copy of the survey in there. It does show that the location of this pole and the location of my property line. The location of the pole, the closest part of the pole, the backside of the pole to the property line is 4 feet from the property line. I take a tape measure and measure it from the back of that pole to my fence. I'm at 43 inches.
I don't know that we could go off of that, but we'll address it and definitely be in touch with you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so do we need a consensus from the board to do?
I would prefer that, since it's not standard, and you certainly don't need to go through any contractual. We can do it through, as a district engineer, I
okay,
can get a
good.
surveyor to do it.
I would feel good about that, being that the other ones are not affected, and we do have that FPL box there.
That does need to be
Oh,
addressed.
yeah.
Right, so you'll get with FPL on that. I mean, if that's what's causing the problem, then, you know.
Oh,
or-
we need, excuse me, we need to get the survey so we know if the road is in the right place. And
Right.
the road, if the swale isn't having a problem now, and I have not made that determination, but I don't doubt that it's not, what happens when you move the road over to the right location? We don't have a current survey that
Right,
gives us
so
the
we need to-
information
right.
we need to make the appropriate call.
All right. I think-
Based on
yeah.
existing
I
data
concur.
in the
Yep.
field, that's the right call, but we don't have an up-to-date survey.
Okay, all right, yeah, all right, that's what we're gonna do, so.
I do have some photographs from back from last June.
Okay, if you
Well,
can
we have
email
some,
them over, that would be
To
great.
show some of the flooding on my property, and the flooding stops clear where the FPL box is. That stops the whole water flow.
But yeah, absolutely send them over, and then when Mr. Foy speaks with FP&L, if they can determine and
Or
use that.
AT&T, yeah.
So,
Okay.
thank you very much. All right, so, Michael, you good with that? Okay?
Yep.
All right, so we have a consensus to do the survey, and to determine if the fence is actually encroaching and creating an issue, or if in fact it is the FPL box.
Mhm.
Okay, great.
All right, next up, Renee Hamilton.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Renee Hamilton, 17934 Temple Boulevard. I was actually going to give you guys a break tonight, but I heard him mention budget, so I figured I'd jump in at this meeting instead of waiting. I mentioned at the last meeting that there was a significant spend regarding millings, and I understand we have some milling direction in what we're doing in different areas, okay? Each street has their own right to have millions or not. What I do want to suggest is that this board take a look at what we're spending now to benefit people later, because we had a significant increase in our non-ad valorem taxes last year because of the budget increase last year. And those are all things that are happening to benefit future residents that may be moving into the area as some of us are moving out. With that being said, I also took a look at the capital improvements that are planned for 2025, and I found that there was significant capital improvements increased over the spend from this year for $4 million into next year, and I think we need to take a look at some of those things. I am a resident, and I don't want to pay more taxes and more taxes and more taxes for the benefit of those that may come later. I moved out to this area for minimum resources out here, okay? Water management, road management, dirt roads, and I do not want to pay more taxes. So I will be here until October, every meeting, asking you to please limit the spend, do not increase us again this year. You increased us way too much last year, and there's just a lot of things that are nice to haves that we don't have to have. So I know there's a lot of things that we need in the parks and whatnot, but I think we need to take a break and give some of us residents a little bit of relief with all the extra costs we have with taxes and insurance and everything else going on, because people are losing their homes because they can't afford to live out here if they're on a budget. So I'm asking the board to think about that. I'm asking the people that work on the budget to think about that as they're preparing the budget. And we also need to take a look at what we're doing operationally currently, because I come from an environment with budgets really strictly enforced, and we all know that people will spend at the end of the year to use up that budget so they can get more next year. So I'm saying let's try to save where we can this year. We already overburdened our residents. Let's not do it again.
Thank you.
That's it for public
That's
comment?
it? All right. Nobody online, right, Carrie? Nope, okay. All right, consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the following consent agenda items: 10-1, 10-2, 10-3, 10-4, 10-5, 10-6, 10-7, 10-8, 10-9, 10-10, 11, I'm sorry, 10-11, 10-12.
Second?
Second.
Michael Johnson. All in favor?
Aye?
Oh, do we need public comment for consent? No,
No.
right? We went through that, all right. No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. See, that passes 3-0. Okay, Mr. Hanson.
Yes, thank you. I have a few things. So, number one, next week, I believe it's next week, Mr. Foy, Mr. Capper, and I will be meeting with Mr. Ricks, Palm Beach County engineer, on the one-way street model that we've talked about in the past, and also on the four-way stop sign as well. we've also, or I've also asked for a meeting with the Planning, Building, and Zoning Department. While we're part of the DRO, and we certainly appreciate that, we're finding a lot of these issues from the past, and even a little more recently, but we've been trying to stay on top of those, where in the case that you just heard tonight, where the county approves fences or approves driveway cutouts on county roads that are actually on our right-of-way, and those should not be there because they do hinder issues. Now, I'm not speaking specifically on that because the one tonight's a little different, but there's many that have happened where structures have been allowed to be built on right-of-way or on canal or on
Drainage
canal
issues.
flat tops and on swales. So there's things like that that we definitely need them to send that to us to review before they issue, you know,
Oh, absolutely.
the inspection or the go-ahead to start building. And so the other thing that I'm not looking for a decision tonight, but in the past, the board policy, and this does kind of apply to what's happening here, board policy, which I don't think it's written, I just think it's been a consensus directive to staff, is if we see like illegal driveways or fences that we think are in the wrong area or trees, it's been district's policy or directive to not let them know that until we're ready to do heavy work or major work such as road rebuilds or swale retrofits, recycled asphalt, pavement installation, i.e. millings. So at either the next board meeting in April or May, I may, if we have everyone here, because I think it's a decision that all five need to really be included on. What I'm seeing now that we have more new people moving in, I'm seeing a lot more obstructions going into our swales and right next to the road in some cases. And I think we need to start notifying them, because then what happens is, let's say we do a road retrofit and 5 years down, well, it's been here for 5 years and nobody said anything. So it's not fair to the
I
resident
agree.
either.
I agree.
So again,
And then they're crunched for time because, oh, hey, guess what? We're starting this road in 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks to move your fence.
Yeah.
And that's not fair either.
Yeah.
So, no, I agree, and I ask you to, yes, please bring it back in April, because I think
Yeah.
this is something we need to address soon.
Yeah, and then today, well, it might have been yesterday, but we did receive the rubber speed tables that I spoke about. So
Excellent.
we'll begin installation of those probably on Persimmon and Tangerine for the bigger ones, because we know having a lot of speed issues there, and then also on Tangelo, which is a milled road.
Right.
But a lot of people are now cutting through there.
Yes.
and
GPS
speeding.
actually sends you that way when there's traffic on North Lake.
Yep.
So we're running into that.
Yep, and then, as you know, next month, or some of you, we start meeting next week individually, and then the following week with everyone else. But we do begin our fiscal year budget process for 2025. And, you know, I just do want to state that the millings, once again, were not the reason why that was increased last year. It was increased because the projects that we were doing, which were related to roads and to drainage, we had some for parks, but most of it was really for roads and drainage. You know, those are projects that need to be done, that should have been done a long time ago, and we're not. And what we're trying to do is take advantage of getting 50 cents on the dollar back to the local landowners instead of them paying 100%.
Right.
On
Because
the
a lot of
project.
these projects that we're doing, we've got the grants for that'll pay after the projects are completed, so we get half that money back.
Yep. And then also, the one thing that was mentioned earlier, don't want to get too far into the weeds, but we do not spend at the end of the year. What we ask for is what we spend throughout the year. There are some items that might not occur until the end of the year, but we don't go out and go on some spending spree to get equipment or computers or things
And the
of that.
balance is gonna go into our
Yep,
reserves, if
yep.
there is a balance.
Yeah, and that's we believe there'll probably be another increase in the fund balance for this
Excellent.
upcoming year.
Had a pretty
And,
decent
yeah,
one. We
Yeah.
just had a pretty decent one that just for the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So again, and right now, because we paid for some of those grants in this current fiscal year, we're anticipating, and you'll see it first next week, those of you that we meet with, that there will actually be fairly good decrease in the unit assessments.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Except Santa Rosa Groves, just keep that in mind, it's not going down, it's
Yeah.
a bond.
Yeah.
Bonds don't go down.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I think, did you have anything to add, Rob?
Just quickly on operations, we've had our first progress meeting for construction that started on the R3 for 180th and 60th Street. That's moving forward.
Or can
We
I
just
interrupt
had-
you for a second before you go any further? Somebody asked me a question, it was a post on social media, some trees being removed at that area. Is that us doing that already?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
They're doing the land clearing and also potholing to verify existing utilities are in the right depth and location as on the
Because people saw
prints.
that it getting cleared and they started getting nervous, and I said, I assumed that was it, but I wanted to.
We're just clearing
confirm.
everything
Yeah.
within our easement.
Thank
Yes, ma'am. Along with that, we had the pre-con for Hamlin. That date is slated to start April 23rd. So a lot of people have been coming in here for meetings, wanting to know when that is.
Mhm.
Construction will start April 23rd.
I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of very happy people about that.
SRG, power line canal clearing, we anticipate the end of April, we'll be done with everything. And then with that, we're gonna get with Mr. Foy here, we're gonna have to have a meeting with FPNL. There's a number of electrical poles that have to be relocated out there. Then we'll be demucking. Also, R3 Phase 2 speed tables, traffic calming is now complete.
Excellent,
So that's all wrapped up.
beautiful.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Kenny, you have anything?
Nothing more
Good.
other than the pier.
And I see we're seeing more and more rentals, so, right?
Mhm.
Rentals are going good? So
Correct.
that's great. It's nice to see the community out there enjoying our parks.
Yep.
That's what I wanna see all the way around.
Yeah, and then just the last thing, just want to thank the park staff. The event this weekend on Saturday for the first barrel show, the first real event that we've had in
Sure.
the new arenas went really well. I think
I
they had
heard it was
over
great.
70 riders, so
Fantastic.
we're probably gonna have to add some depth to the sand in the barrel arena, but, you know, we try to keep it minimum because you don't want to go too deep because
Right.
it can cause injury to their suspensory and other tissues.
Well, we knew
Yeah.
there would have to be some adjustments made as we went along, so, but we know we have a company that's gonna stand behind it, which is very important. And they'll get all that worked out for
Yeah.
us, so I'm very
Already been
grateful.
out and assessed everything.
Excellent,
with us, so
excellent.
We're already on top of it.
Yeah.
I
And
know
there
you are.
wasn't really any damage, but you can just tell where they,
Sure,
when they're barrel racing that last
that,
barrel,
they're
they
really
dig deep,
digging, yeah, they're digging.
because they want that last burst of energy.
Sure, sure. So it's really nice to see. I heard it was a great event. Everybody was really happy with it. It's nice to see everything come to fruition. I was actually gonna bring that up and just
Oh,
thank.
sorry.
No,
Yeah.
you're fine. No, it's important for all of us. If you're done, I'll just
Yeah.
move on. If you
Yep.
are, I don't wanna
No,
interrupt
that was
you.
it.
Okay, so I'll move right into that. So, yeah, I heard it was great. I'm so happy that, you know, it went through a couple of boards and it finally, you know, happened, and the grand opening was great. We had good representation, Ms. Duval.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I guess, you know.
That is priority, for sure, for sure. But it was really nice. It was a good ribbon cutting. I'm very happy about that. I want to congratulate all of the elected officials, our neighbors who were elected this past week, and there's a couple in runoff, so congratulations to them, and I look forward to working with our neighbors, new and returning. I just want to thank Burgess and Kenny for all your hard work, everybody, really, the staff, Rob. You guys have been out there working really hard, and you're doing a great job. And I don't think you get nearly the recognition that you deserve to get. And it's really easy for people to be out there screaming and yelling at you in the moment. Try not to take that to heart. People are passionate, and unfortunately nowadays we don't see the respect that we should. And people just need to work together. And I think if we do that, we'll have a much happier community. The ALA has started Acreage United as kind of a hashtag, and I kind of like that. And I think it's about time that this community is together, and if we really want to enjoy and protect our community. I want to mention, I had brought up a couple of months ago, there were some people here that talked about the feral cats, right? So we had this whole conversation about feral cats at the library. Well, after the meeting, I reached out to Commissioner Weiss, who, to my great appreciation to what he did and that of the feeders and animal control, they secured a permit at the library for the feeders to feed there in certain areas, certain times of the day. It's a 6-month trial permit. If they keep it clean, if the feeders are there when they're supposed to be and everything goes good, they will renew it. So that issue has been resolved, and the community that looks after these animals is very happy. So thank you, Commissioner Weiss and Isami over at Palm Beach County and the library, for all working together with us to solve, you know what, it might not be an important problem to everybody, but it's a huge problem to some people, and it's really important for these poor cats that are just getting run over constantly on the street. People just keep dumping them out there, and please stop doing that. There are free TNVR places, utilize them. I have one personally right out here in the Western community. There's no excuse. Tomorrow, we have a meeting at the county tomorrow morning that we'll be at, and it's about our roads, some of our roads wanting to be put on the TIM. I will be going. We had directed the attorneys to basically handle this issue for us at our last meeting, which is great. But if the need be, I'd like to ask the board that when I'm at these county meetings, if it's necessary, and I can get up and speak and have a consensus that you guys are okay with me representing us when I'm at the county meetings. So, are you guys okay with that? Because, you know, I think we have to have some representation there. We have to do everything we can to protect our residents. I think it's really important. So if the need be, I want to be able to do that. I don't want to just say, oh, sorry, I can't say anything. You know, it's kind of doesn't, you know, make us show the authority that we actually do have. So I appreciate that very much. And also, we talked about the AL, and Wendy, I saw you came in, and we're actually blowing right through this meeting, public comments over, but we gave you an extension. We're setting up a workshop for July 15th. Scarlett had sent out an email, so if you can have everybody there at the workshop so we can get together and plan our future, and everybody can, you know, have their comments and whatnot. But I would also, if you don't mind, like to have a meeting with Mr. Hanson, Kenny, and myself with the executive board of the AL. So if Burgess, if we could set that up in
Absolutely.
advance of the workshop. I'd like to start getting things rolling. July is kind of far away, right?
Yeah.
So, but I know you guys have a lot going on. Everybody here has a lot going on. But I'd like to start that process with you guys, if you don't mind, and just start getting, you know, some ducks in a row for you guys, and with you guys, I should say.
If I may just add really quick, I sent an email.
Yes,
Just
and
before
we
the
recorded
meeting.
it into record during public comment, so just, we'll all have a copy of it, and you're good there.
Thank you.
And let's see, I think that is all, and I will stop talking. Patty?
So, last night, our District 6 Commissioner held a meeting at the library to go over the roadways that Ms. Accomando mentioned, and tomorrow is the meeting down at the county. I think it's important for you to be involved. If you can't be there, listen, send in your comments, let your commissioners know how you feel about your roads and how you feel they should better help our community give us an access exit plan for our community, including the county roads that need to be worked on and widened better than what they've done so far. So make your voices heard. That's all.
Thank you. Yes, this is a very important meeting, and everybody really needs to go. And I know it's difficult to get downtown at 9:30 in the morning on a workday, but this is critical for our community, and we have to do everything we can to protect and preserve it. And you know, we want to be good neighbors, but not at our own expense.
Correct.
Right? And compromise means exactly that.
Right.
It doesn't mean 100-0, it means 50-50.
Correct, like it's
So-
been lately.
Right. So with that said, Michael, do you have anything? Nothing? Well, it's nice to see you. Let's say that. You look good. Right? You're not feeling great, but you look good.
Oh, boy.
All right, with that, reports, receive and file. Do I have a motion?
Motion to receive and file the following reports, 13.1 through 13.8.
Second.
All right, second, and all in favor?
Aye.
3-0. See that it passes, and we are adjourned.
7:26.